Hello. My mom told me the story about when she was young, she was in Honduras and she went to apply for a job. And a man interviewed her, but she found it strange that he offered her coffee. And she said yes. And then he gave her the coffee. And then he sat. At the beginning, he was at his desk and he got up, right? Then he sat at on his desk and he reached down and put his hand on her leg and moved up. So she threw the coffee at his face. And then nobody would believe her story. And the result was she could not get a job anywhere. Excuse me. Her own dad said, "How were you dressed?" This must have taken place in the 60s. She was born in 1946. Another time when later apparently when she was pregnant with her baby, that's me, she was working at a bank as a cashier and money was missing. So she had to stay late. Everybody else went home and she couldn't find the money. Then she found out that the bank president, who was still there and didn't know she was pregnant and stuff, or maybe he did know, I don't know. He had taken the money out so that she would stay late. Hmm. But nothing happened. Then we went on and I talked about 2 times. Once I gave a friend, he was 40, I was 20 something. He didn't have a car. He had come from New York. It was in Miami. And he went to apply at the Spanish TV station. And they said, "Oh, in 2 hours, I'll come down." So I said, "Fine, I'll just wait for you." When the 2 hours went by, I said, "Whoa, boy, it's almost 3 hours. What's going on?" So I went to see the security guard. The security guard called upstairs. My friend came down and explained to me that they had asked him to take a test in a room full of people and to please wait for him. So I said, "Sure, I'll wait for you." So then he went upstairs. Eventually he came down and told me that they didn't hire him because well, probably because he didn't have a car and the buses didn't really go there. Most likely because of me. He did tell me that I couldn't concentrate on the test after after I had called up, or the security guard had called up. Another time I was requested by the first spouse to take her daughter to a job interview. So I drove to the place, parked, she went upstairs. And then when she was coming down, they said, "Be careful, there's a man there walking back and forth in the parking lot below the building in Miami." And then she said, "Oh, that's probably my stepdad." So they didn't give her the job either. And then when I was working as a security guard, one boss came in and told us coworkers that he didn't hire the guy that had just left because he said he's 30 something years old and his dad is driving him to this employment interview. Something doesn't look right. Oh well. When one door closes, another door opens. I went to a school a few days ago, probably on Thursday last week, and the guy told me that I have defaulted on my student loans so that I couldn't really go to school. I could not get any financial aid. It was $32,000 for the air conditioning program at a private school. $16,000 plus $16,000, he told me. So then I said, "Well, you're here. Why don't you see if they give you financial aid?" I told this spouse. And she qualified for everything because she had not technically gone to school and asked for financial aid before. However, she has changed her mind. She went for the medical field. She had changed her mind because she says, "They told me when I stepped out of the financial aid office that I have to give them my income tax every year and I have to pay $30 a month, even now, like if she starts in the summer, every month. And that's just for the interest. And then when she graduates, she's going to have this big student loan." And I see student loans as a tax on people that want to go to school. And the man there representing the school, he told us everything is a business. You could go to a community college and they'll give you English, math, fractions, history. It'll be a year before you touch a medical book. So it's cheaper. However, they have this system of keeping the students in school for an extra amount of time, a year, 2 years. That's why I love the private schools. Even though they're more expensive, they say, "Come in, sit down, you start on Monday." All right, so what's next? Well, now, the guy that was at the school, he said, "I see something wrong. What is the problem here? Tell me." And then someone said that I don't work. "Oh, I see. So it's just you, right?" She said, "Yes." "Well, I'll help your husband get a job," meaning me. Then he told me, "What's on your resume? What's stopping you from work?" I told him, "I just got fired from construction cleanup because I couldn't work past 8 hours a day. And each day that I went in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the next day I had to take a day off. And that's the way I was hired. I had Tuesdays and Thursdays off. And then the boss said that he couldn't do that. He says, tonight, the day he fired me, he said, tonight they're going to stay an hour later. They're going to have an 11-hour day. But I don't mind being dismissed from that construction job, because if you really wanted to do it cleanup properly, you would have a trash chute, you would have wheelbarrows, or what is it? Yeah, those things you grab and put the trash on it and empty it. And they don't have a trash chute. It's just not done the right way. I've seen the internet videos on how to remove trash. And what these guys do is they pick it up, pack it, they put it on top of their head, and it's 40, 50 pounds, and then they go throw it away, walking all the way. I'm like, I'm not doing it that way. I used to carry 20 pounds, 10 and 10, and empty it. Then the guy says, well, what else is on your record? And I told him, well, I've been Baker acted twice. And then he says, oh, well, I'm going to get you a job. I don't care if you're radioactive. I'm going to get you a job. So I liked his attitude. He's going to get me a job because the spouse at that moment was going to give him $32,000 as a student of that school. What ended up happening, though, was today, and even since Friday, the spouse says she's not going to go. Because at 6 o'clock in the evening, when she gets off of work, even if she was to get off at 5 o'clock, she's exhausted. And she doesn't want to go to school from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. She's exhausted. And it's probably 12 miles away or something. But what really gets her is she doesn't want to have those student loans to pay back. So that's fine. Oh, what else has been going on? On my portfolio, I did fix my mother's dresser with my children. It was missing the knobs, so you could pull the drawers. So that was fixed. She wanted that done about 2 months. But I told her, don't you have grandchildren to help you? But these two grandchildren don't really, they're not very, what is the word? They are not eager or quick to help. And grandmother doesn't want to ask for help. So she says, like the other day, I think yesterday or this morning, she gave me a water bottle that was empty. She said, take this to the kitchen. And I didn't grab it from her. I said, don't you have grandchildren to do that? It's called tough love, but she has been up around. She even went to the park with me today. That was nice. My mother. She's been very happy in these last few days, making cakes with the children, making tamales. And she even wants to go to the school tomorrow to look at the financial papers with this spouse. And I don't want to go because I don't really go anywhere that's real far with my mother or spouse. I don't want to be trapped in the car with them. For instance, at dinner or lunchtime today, uh, I do something that's not the way you're supposed to eat. Um, Today, I don't think I did anything, but the mother, she always finds something. Uh, Another old lady, friend of the family, I used to call her Tia when she comes around. She said to me, Daniel, why do you sing when I'm eating? Why do you sing? She doesn't like that, right? No singing at the dinner table. So today, the spouse, she was grabbing her finger and licking the plate, but she does that for years now. And this time, my mother told her, don't do that. So I'm back in my room because I spent too much time over there. I was actually attempting to fix the computer and put canine on it so that the kids won't watch one TV show after another, after another, after another. But the spouse told me, don't do that. And she doesn't snap her fingers, but her attitude is, now, don't do that. She's a slave driver, or what do you call that? A dictator. Very, very powerful way of speaking. And I have to obey her because if I don't, she'll make up a story and get me Baker acted again. So that's why I'm in here again. She came in here and said, why aren't you going tomorrow? Because as I was leaving that door, she said, are you going with us tomorrow? I said, no. If you want to talk to me, I'll be in my room. So she came over. And she said, why aren't you going to the school tomorrow? The man is going to have another man there that's going to give you a job. I told her, well, I don't want to go anywhere with my mother and with you, and the way you just spoke to me now was disrespectful. And I asked her, do you know what the objective is? Why I want to put canine on that computer? So that the kids are not watching one show after another, after another, after another. She didn't answer that question. She got up to leave, actually. So I blocked her door and I said, when will you listen? Then she stayed a few more moments. I sat back down. And then she opened the door and left. But, oh yeah, I did ask her, have you read any books to the children, especially to one of them? She said, no. But I have a book. Yes, you have it, but you haven't read it. She says, I'm tired. I said, I understand you're tired. But right here, my finger is, there's a table. That's where the book in Spanish that my son and I read yesterday. In my hand here, I have the other one that we started reading last night in English. I grab around here, there's a third one that reads about the Bible stories for kids. When my son is in here, I give him free time. We talk for like an hour after bedtime. We turn off the light and then keep on talking. But he knows he can goof off, but just staying in that part of the house with the spouse. And what does he do? Watch one TV show, then another and another. And then she says, when I tell him 5 more minutes, he gets off in 5 minutes. I said, yes, he listens to you, but when I tell him, he doesn't get off. And then, well, I asked her, don't you have any goals for your kids? if they're gonna do, well, the way I call it is wasting time. They're not gonna do anything every day. What? Those are not the children I want to have. I want successful kids. And oh, I was going to tell you how to make a successful kid. Number 1, teach him to cook. Number 2, give him confidence. Teach him to do laundry. Confidence, let him touch your cookware, your pots and pans. All right? Because what was done to me as a child, don't cook, don't touch her pots and pans, don't talk, just be quiet, don't make any noise. You could add yelling, just don't stop yelling at the kid. That's the wrong way to do things. So if you're yelling at your kid, if you're not asking your kid not to talk, if you're asking your kid not to move and jump around and run, then when he's 40 years old, he'll be just like me, living with his mother, unemployed for 7 years. Well, I've had little one description of me as our friend in Chicago. One time my mother called and the son answered. Where's Mervyn? Oh, he's temporarily employed. Because Mervyn was not an employable type person. And neither am I. I'm just not able to be employed for a long enough amount of time. I always run into problems. You see, if you're honest and you do things, well, for instance, I don't drink and drive. And if your chauffeur is drinking and driving, what do? You report him. In the building, it says no smoking, no drinking. They find beer bottles. You want me not to report it? I didn't report it, but the boss knows because they leave them right there. So they're drinking at work. They're smoking cigarettes at work. But I could avoid that. I just go to another room and start cleaning that room as a construction employee. But how do I avoid the chauffeur that gave me a ride from drinking? Huh? Hey. I also remember how there were several of us, right? And every morning I used to sit in the front seat. And one morning, this since I got there, you know, they all said, okay, you sit there. Okay, I sat there. One morning I got there and the driver said, you sit in the back. I'm like, all right, asshole. I'll sit in the back. What am I gonna say to him? So you have to put up with things when you have a job. Then I told them, you guys make so much money. You're at $15 an hour. You're like rich men. And then they told me, no, we're not. Then I said, how is it possible you are not rich? If I did that for a year, I'd be rich. You know, I'd have a farm somewhere. And then he said, well, we have one girlfriend here and another one over there. We got our kid over that way. Oh, and then they send money to their mothers. But That's the way it goes. They're broke. Then one of them said, I know one guy that only kept $50 a week. I'm like, wait a minute. How much is 150 a day times 5 days? And these guys work 6. All right. Oh gosh, I don't know, but that's a nice amount of money. And these guys, if it was only $100 a day, it would be $600 plus 50, 100, 200, $800. They're at $850 a month, a week, aren't they? These guys are something else. All right. Talk to you later. Enjoy your life. Be better than I am.